Hey there and welcome to Keeping It Hunky. Thanks for tuning in to this video because it's going to be a tasty one. It's all about my Love Island application, the truth behind the process, and the lessons that I weirdly learned, whether you want to go on the show or don't, or just want to satisfy your curiosity. This is going to be the video for you. Am I good looking enough? Was my personality a fit? Was I too much? Too little? Or just right? So by the end of this video, you're going to get some juicy insights into the whole process. Whether you're going to be a Love Island applicant yourself, I'm going to give you advice for that. And also just for someone who wants to chase their dreams and potentially anything that feels more aligned with them. Whatever it be, I'm an empath, so you may be highly sensitive and also an empathic person, and it's just how you can cope with decisions, your emotions, through high stress situations and situations that might want to manipulate you into something that is not you. It was by far the most extraordinary event of my life, so without further ado, you may be wondering what the fuck is Love Island in the first place? So, Love Island UK is one of the biggest multinational shows there is, reality TV, as they call it. It's on primetime TV every single night and usually goes for about 6 to 8 weeks time. It's a competition. It's like Big Brother. There's cameras everywhere in every corner, every room, and they want to record how people can match up on the show. There's going to be the equal amount of boys as there is girls. What they want you to do is match up to create a superficial or a genuine relationship. The mass public love to get into the gossip and get in between relationships. It's what we all talk about most of the time. And so this show was why it blew up to over 6 million views per night. It's actually chained out into Australia, Germany, into America. And so for the vastness of the show, there was 50 grand up for grabs if you win. Not only that, the sponsorships to follow would change your life forever for sure. So as you can imagine, the applications skyrocketed, and so they did. But we all forget the dark side of this show. 2 contestants in previous shows actually committed suicide due to poor mental health. When you are put on the public pedestal, the media will tear you to pieces, as will the public create a whole new identity for you. And so what makes this even more harrowing is the presenter.
We'll be coupling up with one of your girls.
Caroline Flack, who seemingly puts on a great face in the UK show, actually took her own life during the filming of the programme. They actually only shot 37 episodes and had to cut a day early. And so lucky for me, I didn't make that show. Now know the baseline of how the show works, a huge life of fame and sponsorships that could change your life forever, for better or for worse. So here's my story and let's dive straight into it. So let's bring it right back to part 1, getting scouted. Funnily enough, I was here in Bali with a good friend of mine at a cafe. I was having a little chit chat with him thinking, I want to take the Health Hunk, the brand, to a whole new level. Funnily enough, that evening, I got a text on Instagram about a mysterious show happening from an ITV caster. My instinct thought, could this be Love Island? So I was a little bit skeptical at this point, so I did a bit more diving deep and researching and found out actually your chances of getting on the show are vastly increased when you get scouted and reached out to. So I asked what was required, and all she said was throw in a few texts, give us a video, and that's that. I said I actually applied to your show in 2019, which I did, with a video, and she was like, yeah, just send us that one. Well, embarrassingly, this is it. Oh, right there, me lovers. You may have seen me on BBC headlining the news, and I've been on your TV show with Stephen Mulhern. Throw me any situation, I'll be confident and composed, even if it's with women. Oh, I guess that's all right, I suppose. That was my days as butler in the bath, and I would not change it for the world, but there we go. I showed my quirky personality and hopefully that got me through the doors, in which it did. Little did I know, this was Love Island 2020 January show for Cape Town. And this is just to say, when you make a message crystal clear to the universe, then the law of attraction really does work. It manifests itself. Get really clear on what you want and the universe will serve it to you. There we go. I was scouted within the same night of talking to one of my best friends here in Canggu about being on one of these shows. And so you see plastered everywhere, you need to be a vibrant single to get through the process. At this point, I'm sure everybody watching this now might be thinking, what is vibrant and how do I actually communicate that? My best advice is just be yourself. When you are in your own lane, in your flow, that is the most vibrant being you can be. Not everybody is designed for TV programs or reality TV shows, and you'll find out how I wasn't, but there's a lot of questions you can ask yourself. We then got into a one-to-one interview, and the question she asked me was, how was your last relationship? And I think this was a test just to see how open and vulnerable you can be. The second one was, what's your greatest chat-up line? I said something cheesy, as you can imagine. I said, if I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd put you and I together. That's like off the back of a penguin bar. And the final one was, what would girls be attracted to you in the villa for? That to I responded, why did I need to try? Let them come to me. I don't need to put on an effort to attract the opposite sex. And so, like I say, stay in your own lane. That is your vibrancy. So after a successful video interview, we'd finished, and she was really pleased with me. As you can imagine, my mind went wild. I thought my life is now gonna change forever. I needed to take this with much sensitivity though, because my family doesn't really like the limelight as much as I do. And so it would be stubborn and selfish for me to assume my family and those that I know dearest would be okay with this. So the next step was telling the family. And what I learned really quickly through this little process is lesson 1. Share sensitively. Make it not about you, but them. What can the other party get out of this? How can it improve the other person's life rather than seeing the benefit for your own? Share exclusively with the right people and those that you trust for honest, valuable feedback. This is when you want straight talkers and real talkers in your inner circle, because it's valuable for them to keep you on track, for you to be anchored down when the tides get tough, as like a show like this could do to me. And that's what happened. My mind just went, and I needed those people to really bring me back down to earth. So at the application stage, I would say to everyone now, why not? Give yourself a try. What's the worst that can happen? Especially at this point when not much is emotionally invested or I hadn't gone on the show just yet. And so I actually sat with myself nice and quietly, and I thought, are you emotionally, mentally, physically capable to do what it takes to be on the show and take the media and the public attention as you know happens? So a quick answer to that one. The unknown is unpredictable, but the only things we do know is that if we have the competence and confidence together to pull us through the difficult times. And luckily for me, I have the competence, having done lots of modelling gigs, had TV appearances already, and been butler in the bath. The show didn't seem too daunting for me. On the other hand, my confidence was quite low. This was because I had pain bodies of the past, and after a quick phone call with my life coach, I found out that I still live through the past, and that those times when I was in the midst of lad culture, in anxiety and panic attacks, within dominance hierarchies and cultures that were out to doggy dog and eat each other to compete, I knew that this show had a lot of potential to recreate those terrible experiences for me. But this pain wouldn't have created the passion to really raise awareness for mental health and really change the game in these cultures. Josh, do it for the boy going through mental turmoil and the kid who wants to kill himself. Do it for them. And from that statement, everything felt way more calm, way more purposeful. And this leads me to lesson 2. Seek something far larger than yourself when you begin to have doubts. So fast forward 2 days later, I received a call from the ITV head offices to meet the directors. This meant actually flying back to London from Bali and booking the earliest possible flight. So of course I was a little bit taken aback, and I said on the phone, I said, are you serious? I said, what is the likelihood of me getting this? And they said, you're in the top 1% and pretty high. My mind was blown. So after a covert call with my dad not to let the other members of the family know so I could surprise them as well, I got the next flight. There I spent a night in London waiting for the directors, where it got really nerve-wracking. I had a couple of phone calls with my close friends, and they all said to me, you're meant for this, you're made for this show. I couldn't let the ego get the better of me, so I didn't take their opinions to heart, and I just thought, keep your mind in line, keep focused, and don't let the external environment influence you in any way. So that was it. Had a good night's sleep, and this leads us to part 2, D-Day. This is when the tensions were way higher than usual. We all had to go into busy central London. I was on a strict regimen. As you can see here, they had a schedule for us to theatre appointment, I met one of their representatives. I said to her, where's the other contestants? She said, they're on a turnstile. You guys have to be a room apart from one another. And so I was left waiting in the corridor while the other one was in with the psychiatrist. It really set the tone for the entire day. It felt really eerie. It felt like, oh, this is competitive. We're in this controlled system that we don't really have much say or do in this situation. So with a few more questionnaires on a clipboard, I was ready for the psychiatrist. And so this is a quick reminder for anyone who is interested in going in the show or for job interviews. Everyone matters. Even the psychiatrist, the person you meet through the doors on the application, the receptionist, whoever it be on your day, making sure your first and last impressions count. Again, in the first 5 seconds someone meets you, it's a first judgment and a snap judgment on who you are. 93% of our communication is non-verbal, so sit with your shoulders back, chest up, speak clearly, own your step. I made everybody feel worthy because I knew that they do talk. Behind the scenes, the team will be creating opinions on everybody, and I needed not to be a people pleaser, but be myself as vibrantly as I could, as that's what they're looking for. And here's when it gets down and dirty. I was then called up next for the psychiatrist meeting, and I thought, wow, this is going to be intense, like the Shutter Island style of movie. I thought I was going to be the Leonardo DiCaprio. And so this led to a little bit of performance anxiety. And another tip for you, breathing is your anchor. So with a quick 5-second breath, holding that air in the diaphragm, counting down to 1 from 5, I just walked right in. Led with actions and allowed the thinking to come second.
Come in!
I sat myself down next to the psychiatrist, and this is what she said.
Okay, you've made it this far. Well done. So then, question 1. What do you think is the worst thing that could happen to you or your family?
My brain instantly projected to the worst. Death, being disowned, and the threats I could receive.
Okay, I hope the incense in the room is really calming the aura, because the next one is a big one. Are you happy with the media saying whatever they like about you?
After a jokey, I think it'll all be good things, she gave me the death stare. It's the UK media, mate. The media love fear and control, and so they're in control. So being out of control feels really quite uncomfortable. It's a question you need to ask yourself. What does it feel like to have your identity in the hands of another person? Like all good shows, movies and plays, you know it's all about creating characters. So I was hoping that I'd be the hero rather than the zero of the show. And again, my mind went irrationally. It knew that there was something like a prize up for grabs in this show, and so everyone will be fighting to achieve the hero. This will create a doggy-doggy environment and something of my past I feel very uncomfortable with. People are willing to do anything under the control of authority.
Really, 50% of the subjects obey the experimenter's commands fully in the experiment depicted in this film.
165 volts. Time.
In that experiment, it showed that someone was willing to press a red button to kill somebody else to save their own stature and life. That is the limits that human beings will go to if they're told to do something that probably is against moral boundaries, but to save their own status. And there we go. I could be thrown under the bus and made a fool to 6 million viewers on each night.
And last but definitely not least, in the emergency, who can we contact for you?
And that instigated lesson 3. Only have a small circle. I'd say limit it to 5. Those that really will be there for you in the lowest of lows and highest of highs and will have your back no matter what. You know that they invite your friends and family on the after talk shows, and those people that are willing to fight your corner and fight for your integrity.
Brilliant, brilliant. I think that's a wrap.
So she'd finished with her questions, but I had to do it stepbrother style.
We're here to fuck shit up. What do you say we interview you?
All right, yes, that's a sometimes useful exercise.
Please put your hand down.
To which I asked, how are you dealing with the previous cases of suicide on this show?
We actually have some on-site support, so if you do have a mental breakdown on the show, there is a professional to hand, and there is some after-show support too.
Are there any places to actually have alone time and regenerate?
Absolutely not. Did you know that this is a reality TV show 24/7?
Do the cameras ever go off?
The only time they turn off the cameras is when you are eating. Oh, and there's cameras in the bathroom too, so I'm afraid there's no place to regenerate.
I knew I'm destined to be a rabbit in the headlights for the January show. We were also told we'll be in complete isolation for the first week of the show to get to meet the other contestants. Again, this is an insider secret. You already know the contestants before you get on the show.
Okay, brilliant. Anything else there, Josh? Okay, brilliant. I really do hope you get on the show. Best wishes to you, and I'll see you there. Jolly pop then.
And there I had it. Stood up, left, and little did I know the next meeting would be the directors. Part 3, the directors. This was the most knackering part of the day. Again, another taxi to travel to the next venue. This is where the superpower of your breath really comes in. When there's no coffee, hydration in front of you and you're knackered, sleep deprived and a bit anxious, breathe. Again, that coping technique, breathing in with at least 5 seconds on the inhale, holding for 2 seconds, and slowly breathing out. You only need about 3 to really recharge. And another reminder for anyone going into applications like this, shows like relatable stories. They know the media is part of their business, so they need things to really chew on. I needed to give them not much morsels of things to tear me apart on and be vulnerable in all the right ways. I needed to set good boundaries, just being myself. This led to the meetings. This felt surreal and also daunting at the same damn time. I remember walking through the corridors and having Ant and Dec on hundreds of TVs up the corridor airing I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and it was only until the end of the corridor a big red door await me. I walked in and I then seen what now I know as the directors of Love Island UK, the big boys, with a rather talkative and pretty cheerful director on my left.
You're right there, Josh. Brilliant to see you, mate. Just take a seat. Brilliant. Never mind the camera in the middle. Just keep your eyes on me and the other director over there, and it will all be good. Just imagine this as a conversation at the pub.
And a pretty gaunt bad cop on my right.
You're last contestant of the day, so it's really good. Play in your favour.
I was in the hot seat. This was probably testing my ability to cope with both sides of the spectrum.
So there, mate, what are you up to in Bali? Give us some substance.
Well, I'm the health hunk and I'm an online fitness, health and confidence coach. I've mentored a few students at university, and I want to destigmatise egotistical industries, especially the one of fitness and lad culture.
Oh, okay, so what's so bad about lad culture?
Well, the fact it's a shallow culture and it talks about girls, the footy, and nothing about deeper issues like mental health, relationships. More important matters need to be brought to the surface rather than just excuses not to connect. It should be about being there for one another, making vulnerable conversations the norm.
Now that's the definition of a lad.
So then, Josh, what's your type?
Someone like ScarJo, Margaret Robbie.
Ah, I can see a trend here. How did your last relationship end up?
Ugh, so where do I begin?
Oh, yeah, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? Okay, brilliant.
So now when I was one of their last contestants, the last impression was so important. So I gave them both a Health Funk sticker.
Oh, go on then. Oh, cheers. Cheers, mate. Thanks. Thank you. What do I do with that?
But why not? So this leads to lesson number 4. Hold your integrity, no matter what. Whatever may be promised to you, be yourself. It's hard to fake something else. And this leads to a moral dilemma now. I could have faked it just to get on the show, but then I'd need to fake it even more, maintain that for 6 to 8 weeks, and I know I'm being aired 24/7. That would be disastrous if I was exposed to the media and the world being something I wasn't. We're in a world of fakeness these days, and fakeness gets rewarded, I'm afraid. You have lots of people who aren't very integral and put in their Instagram bios, I'm a 6-figure business coach, or I've got 1 million followers, yet they may be fake and just an intention and motivation to achieve the next step. They may be trying to manipulate you into believing they're successful in order to be a stepping stone to their success. So step out of the crowd, be the example, and stay true to yourself. This is why I've got a mini course in my description in this video. Sign up there, and that is the foundational work you can do to stop yourself leading askew. The biggest question we need to ask is, if we fake it to make it, then how fulfilled or happy will we feel when we do make it? I think a lot of us would be living in a shell, wouldn't we? Don't put money over meaning, profits over people, popularity over integrity. It will just rob you of happiness and your own fulfillment. Lesson 5, don't fake it till you make it, but face it till you make it. And that led me to be escorted out with a
Get back to you with the results in 2 weeks.
What are the odds?
This is the last 100 applications.
So head down I walked, heart in the throat, and into another taxi home. This leads to a really funny story actually. I was in the front seat with an African taxi driver. I was a little bit unsure, uncertain, told him about my experience, and this is what he had to say.
I have a feeling you've got this.
So when my optimism was brought up, it then quickly crashed down when he sought me for life advice for being a baby daddy to a wrong one.
I cannot be a baby daddy. Tell me, what do I do?
I was now coming to questions with the what ifs. How will global fame affect me and my family? How could my life change for the better or for the worse? The scariest part was coming home to my mum and how my family will take the news. Which leads me to lesson 6. All I can control is my response. What has happened has happened. It can't change. Part 4, hook line. This was the most anxious part of the journey. I was now at home, sitting down with the family, seeing how they reacted to the news. It wasn't very pretty, if I'm honest. My family is quite under a shell. They do not like media attention. I was left in a space of radio silence too. They weren't getting back to my replies. I kept asking when I was going to get a response, but there was nothing. So amongst all this silence, I still had a lot of irrational thoughts. Then needed to go for a mutual friend on Instagram who had once been on a previous show, asking him, why are they taking so long to get back to me, mate? And he said, don't worry about it. They take ages. He took a long time to know the result and actually made the show. All the questions went through my head. I was like, how can I be a popular one? Like I can devise a magic scripture or blueprint to become a person for the show that could potentially win it. I was thinking, am I going to be seen, heard, or deal with those situations I once was terrified of? As a male brain, I always thought about I was going to be competing with the top characteristics, genes, appearances, and how would I assert myself on the levels of hierarchy. This leads us on to lesson number 7. Comparison is the thief of happiness and our ability to notice our authentic gifts. It was really a battle between chasing my dreams over the consequences on myself and others. Was I really ready? Part 5, the sinker. There I was at home, anxiously tiptoeing around the corridors of my house. I received a call.
Hello. Hey, mate. It was lovely to meet you. Unfortunately,
My heart drops. That word, unfortunately, is a recruiter's sniper bullet.
we weren't able to put you through for the cast. I'm afraid we can't give you any feedback. It's just the case, mate. So take care for us, and maybe you'll have another opportunity come future. Plenty more shows. Take care, mate. Bye. Got your sticker on my car, by the way.
And so I had to leave gracefully, putting the phone down, quite disappointed. But this leads to my lesson 8. Rejection is redirection. What is not meant for you now will mean another door will open in the future. And so this rejection was tough. I thought this TV programme, Love Island UK, could really change my life. I went back to Bali with a tail between the legs and all the consequences that had on my family. They may have lost a little bit of trust in me. However, with any opportunity, big or small, we must not dwell. Because what that does is brings negative energy into our future and steals from what our future has potential of serving right back at us. Remember that cafe conversation I had with my buddy? That was hope that there could be change and it was delivered within the same day. I know how casting works. It's a world of rejection. You won't get more than 50% of whatever you cast for. Depends. You might be the Greek god and the world revolves around you, but that doesn't exist for us all. Equip the meant to be mentality and take everything with more humility. This rejection presented the greatest gift of my life. I came back to Bali, got onto Bumble and swiped right on Jazz. Jazz is now my wife. So this is just to say that though you may be rejected today, tomorrow could have an even better opportunity that takes your life in a whole new direction. I say personal drive is the leading factor to success. You're happy with whatever the journey arises within. You're not too focused on the destination. I couldn't be more grateful for this once-in-a-lifetime experience. Although it was exciting as well as an emotional roller coaster, these experiences really help you learn so much about yourself. Thank you to the ITV team, which were brilliant, by the way. I have no clout against the show at all, but just the media and the gossip it surrounds our society these days. I also want to mention that I know from personal experience, reality TV, news and modelling gigs do tend to target those that can be more easily manipulated or are less agreeable, are more likely to make headline roles. Why? Because you're more malleable. I just know from the life of a model that there has been narcissistic directors that have tried to manipulate me to do things I wasn't willing to do. So you need to have firm boundaries and know yourself so well that your energetic leaks or energetic friction really tells you signs to say no and maybe not go for opportunities that don't feel good. And finally, as an empath myself, and potentially you are watching this, tread into these troubled waters very carefully. Use your intuition as guidance to chase and pursue things that feel good. What shows like this won't tell you is that these aren't for the highly sensitive at all. These opportunities are not for everyone. My advice, if you're still healing or going through some tough times, to avoid testing yourself on this caliber. Maybe build up that initial toughness to deal with haters and public judgment. Proceed with self-care and precaution. And remember, making a reality TV show does not make you a better or less person than anyone else around you. With all that said, and the journey you've just come through with me on, here's a lesson summary for you. Know yourself and those your decisions have a consequence on, and deal with everything with respect and sensitivity. Never lose integrity. Take decisions consciously and check in with yourself often. Give yourself a try. What's the worst that can happen? Big dreams manifest real results and opportunities. Are you truly ready for what it takes? When there's a will and coping tools, there's a way. When one door closes, another opens, and what will be, will be. And again, if you are unclear on who you are and need that integral boost or that pick-me-up, my mini course below is that immersive 3-day experience. This may just be what gets you in a place of integrity that is able to accept huge opportunities like becoming a contestant for Love Island. So I just want to say thank you for spending your time with me here on this channel. To support me that extra bit more, please like, subscribe, share this video, of course turn on those post notifications, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, as always, keep it hunky.